Hi, NCC. Happy Saturday. We are so looking forward to worshiping with you tomorrow. We hope you'll join us at 10 a.m., either live in the house or here on the live stream here on Facebook and YouTube. We wanted to also remind you that coming in February, we will be relaunching our children's ministry. So make sure you look at our Facebook page for more information about that. There's a lot of details for those of you who want to bring your kids to church with you and who your kids have been waiting and anticipating when they are able to come back to Promised Land Ministries. We know that that is something really important in raising our children to love the church and to love gathering together. So if you're looking forward to that, make sure you look for that video from Miss Tammy so you can get details about how to prepare for that, okay? I wanted to read to you today. I've been reading something and it will kind of expose me as the nerd that I am. But one of the things I was reading this week was in the Psalms. And I was reading Psalm 56. And in the middle of it, there in verse 8, David says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You've collected all my tears in your bottle. You've recorded each one in your book." And so I was thinking about how I don't really cry as much now as I used to. I used to cry a lot, and I don't know why I don't cry so much anymore. I wear waterproof mascara out of habit now because I used to cry all the time. And I still cry when I'm if I'm talking about Jesus or if I'm worshiping, I will still cry, but I tend to not be as emotional as I used to be, and I'm not really sure what that says about me. But I was intrigued by that comment about God keeping track of our sorrows and collecting our tears in a bottle. So I started looking that up, and it turns out that that is an ancient practice. And there's record of the Romans doing that. Now, of course, this was David back before that, but the Romans would have these little glass jars that they knew how to blow glass, and they would collect tears of mourners in these little glass jars. And then it resurfaced again in the Victorian era, where if someone had lost a loved one, they would collect their tears of mourning in the bottle. And when the tears evaporated, they knew that their season of mourning was over. It was also prevalent in the Civil War when the women would collect their tears while their loved ones were off to battle. And they would keep it as a memorial for them. So I don't know, it was just like a nerd journey for me to research the history of that. And then I also stumbled across a picture of a teacher's water bottle who had very facetiously labeled her water bottle "Tears of My Students." And as a teacher, I also appreciated that. But I thought about sometimes my husband would say that his dad, when he was little, if he was crying, his dad would hold out his hand and say, "Cry me a handful." You know, so the collection of tears, I guess, is just was just kind of rolling around in my mind, and I wanted to keep looking into that, and the fact that God is collecting them in a bottle, I just thought that was very interesting. And so I looked a little further into tears, and it turns out that emotions are actually chemical levels in our brain. And they signal like a rush of chemicals, these emotions. and the body tries to maintain equilibrium. So when one emotion or chemical skyrockets, that emotion slash chemical gets flagged, and that signals the tear ducts to release that emotion to get us back into equilibrium. And so we release that emotion through tear ducts. Those emotions, chemicals, get packaged into tiny little packets we call tear droplets. And it's amazing because that when we release that, I mean, you all know, I remember I would feel better after a good hard cry, and sometimes our kids, just seemed like they were overwrought or, frustrated or tired. And boy, if they could just let it all out in a rush of tears, they'd feel better. And I thought that was really interesting. And then I looked at how the different emotions released in a good cry actually look different under a microscope. And I'm going to put a picture up here so you can actually see it. They are literally made up of different chemicals depending on what emotion you were feeling. So it's kind of like a language. And it's a language that God speaks. He understands that. Now, He sees our hearts. Yes, we know that. We know that. But there's more to it than that. He keeps track, he said in Psalm 56, He keeps track of our sorrows. And He's collected our tears in a bottle and recorded each one in a book. And that just overwhelmed me today. I was thinking of a song I heard when I was a kid. Tears are a language that God understands. So I don't know if you cry much anymore, but if you're in a season of any kind of overwhelming emotion, anything that feels overwhelming, and we've been told big girls don't cry, but apparently there is that's healthy. It's healthy to release that, and it's also a way of expressing our hearts, and something that God actually keeps a record of. So whatever you're feeling today, or if in the future you encounter a moment where you feel like I just need a good cry, don't fight it. Just let it go and trust that that God's keeping a record of that, and He is attentive to what's happening in your heart. He reads and knows the language of our tears. Anyway, so I was just wanting to share my little nerd journey with you on exploring the language of tears. And I hope that your tears are all happy ones today. See you tomorrow.